This, of course, the arraignment on those 4 aggravated murder charges and 1 count of aggravated burglary in the deaths of Spencer and Monique Tepe back on December 30th.
So again, this is really the first time that he has appeared in an Ohio courtroom since his arrest. We do have reporter Lacey Crisp. She was in that courtroom for that very quick hearing. So we're going to try to get into with her in just a few moments. But let's bring you back up to speed with how this all took place. Again, as we know, the Tepes were found dead December 30th. This was inside their Wineland Park home.
Spencer's employer called 911 that morning, concerned because Spencer didn't show up for work, and they say that was really out of character for him. Columbus Police Chief Elaine Bryant confirms that's when a responding officer initially went to the wrong address that day.
And then about 45 minutes after that phone call, another 911 call was placed, and that is when officers say that they found the couple dead inside their home. Their 2 young children were also inside that home. They were not harmed, though, in this. Now, according to Columbus Police, there were no signs of forced entry or weapons found at the scene.
And those kids now, they're a 1-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl. On January 2nd, just before 6 p.m., Columbus Police released this video. They say it showed a person of interest walking in the alley near the Tepes' home between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. Michael McKee was arrested 8 days later in Illinois.
And really, that video and how he was arrested based on the video and then a car that was at the scene all led us up to this moment now where Michael McKee again in court today in Columbus facing those 5 charges. Let's get to Lacey Crisp right now. She's live at the courthouse. Lacey, a very quick hearing. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, it was a typical arraignment for anyone where you could count it in seconds rather than in minutes. But as you could see via video conference, McKee appeared from the new jail. His attorney, Diane Menashe, appeared on his behalf and entered a not guilty plea. She also waived bond. That basically means they're going to kick that can down the road. They'll deal with it later. But today, the biggest news that we expected from his hearing back in Rockford, that he anticipated that he would plead not guilty. Today he entered that not guilty plea in court. Now we'll wait to hear when the next court hearing will be held.
Lacey, can I ask you, he hired Diane Menashe as his defense attorney. This is a person that is well known in the Columbus area because obviously Menashe was a high profile attorney defending many clients in the death penalty case. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think if you're from the Columbus area, when you think of death penalty cases, capital cases, any of those really high profile cases in the past, she represented Quentin Smith, who was found guilty of killing the 2 Westerville police officers. She represented Dr. William Husel. She represented Goolsby, in the Reagan Tokes case. A lot of those really high profile cases that we've had here in Columbus, in Franklin County in the last 10 or 15 years. Diane Menashe has been a part of the defense on all of those cases.
And Lacey, this aggravated murder charge, it does mean that he could face a maximum sentence of life in prison with no possibility of parole or even the death penalty, although Ohio has not carried out an execution since 2018. Has the prosecution at this point said whether they are going to be seeking the death penalty?
They have not, and it isn't listed on the charges as of right now. What is interesting is that Prosecutor Shayla Favor is actually taking part in this case. This is the first case since she took office that she will take part in herself. She will be in the courtroom. She was in the courtroom today, along with 2 of the other assistant prosecutors on the case. Aside from that, I did ask Ms. Favor if she would make a comment about this case after today's hearing, and they're opting not to give any interviews. That they don't want to say anything that could possibly harm the investigation because, as Columbus Police have said multiple times in the last week and a half, even though they have made an arrest, that doesn't mean this case is done. They still have a lot of investigating to do. They still have a lot of evidence to go through. You think about all of the phones and all the email addresses and all of those forensics that take time to go through, to dig through, to get that information back. They're still waiting on a lot of that evidence, and they don't want to do anything to taint this case by saying something that may harm it.
Well, Lacey Crisp, thank you so much for all that insight as you continue to cover this case. I'm sure you will as we move on through this court proceedings as well. But we'll have more from Lacey later today on 10 TV News beginning at 4.
Again, Michael McKee pleading not guilty in his arraignment today in Franklin County Court to the murders of Monique and Spencer Tepe. Thank you for joining us on air and streaming on 10 TV Plus. We'll see you back over here for the news at 4.